Okay. Hello, people. It's been a while that I did this. I'm sorry that I kind of dropped off. Life happens. But here we are today. If you live in Edmonton, you would know that the Edmonton City Council elections just happened. And yeah, there's been a lot of things that went on around that. What did the Agege Bread podcast decide to do? We decided that since everyone who won was getting a lot of airtime and a lot of exposure and attention, we wanted to make sure that the conversation was holistic and wholesome. We found the people who ran but didn't win. We don't like to say that they lost. We'd like to say that they learned, and we are going to be talking to them in this series. The reason I say that they didn't lost and that they learned is because I'm sure that there's things that they experienced and we want to learn from those lessons. That way we are enriched in the conversations that we have around city council elections, because we are seeing firsthand through the lens of the people who were in the front line for these elections. I think that we're going to have fun. I think that this series will be interesting. I have a lot of people lined up for interviews. They are excited to tell their story. I want you to pay attention. I want you to listen and learn. Today, I am sitting with Giselle General. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Namika, for the chance. I'm really excited to be here.
Thank you. So, Giselle General ran in the ward Sipiwiyiniwak. If I'm murdering that, forgive me. Could you say that so we get it right?
Absolutely. So maybe you'll have it in the show notes, the name. Here's the way to remember it. The nice thing about the word name is it's in the Cree language, so the syllables are actually more straightforward. So Sipiwiyiniwak is how you say it. But if you read it, it looks like it's Sipiwiyiniwak. So here's the trick.
Okay.
The middle syllable yi, just skip it and read the rest as is. Sipiwiyiniwak.
Sipiwiyiniwak.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
There you go. I keep joking around with people that it's still one of the relatively easier word names to pronounce, because I tell them word Ipiko Kanipiotsi on the south side is it takes more practice.
I tried that and I didn't. I'm still practicing. I'll get that where I want.
I'll give you tips.
Okay.
So we'll do that later on. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. So wow, yeah, you can see that Giselle is very steeped in her ward. It's not always that you find somebody who understands the name of the word that they want to represent. So here she is. I believe this is the second time that you ran. And this is the Agege Bread podcast. And if you would like to tell our listeners about yourself for a bit, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So I'll try to keep it short. Mm-hmm. I've lived in Canada since 2007. I was an orphan kid brought over from the Philippines by my relatives. My parents and sister died when I was 8 years old. And as we know, here in Canada, there are ways to sponsor nieces and nephews and grandchildren who are orphans, right? So it's definitely I'm afforded that opportunity, and I'm really, really grateful. I did all my adult life over here. So because I came here as a teenager, I went to university here, finished a Bachelor of Commerce degree. We were able to bring my brother over later on, which is also really wonderful. I had a career in the not-for-profit sector for many, many years, and my current job is in the government. I have done a lot of volunteering. I was raised to make sure I always find time for extracurriculars to expand my skills and to help others. So I volunteer in my neighborhood community league. I volunteer in the multicultural media space. I'm a volunteer columnist for 2 papers here in the province, the Alberta Filipino Journal and the Alberta Chronicle. I have a personal blog. I have written short stories, anthologies. I did my first documentary. And I'm also very much a local city politics nerd. I really find these underrated but important things really interesting, like trash collection schedules and bus routes and neighborhood services and how property taxes help with libraries and rec centers. So that's where my interest comes from as far as municipal politics. And what inspired me to run is kind of an almost accident. So there's several of them, women-focused organizations that really want to push to have more women in politics. And I stumbled upon one of their workshops. It's called Equal Voice Alberta North at the time. And they were encouraging women to gain leadership skills and that they can do that through politics. So that is back in 2015. And that's where the idea got planted in my mind that, oh, maybe I can actually go beyond paying my taxes and filling in surveys. Maybe I could run and get my voice heard and be in these very important positions that make the policy decisions that affect people. So that is basically the beginning of that journey.
Thank you for that very detailed and quite short, expose. If I may ask, because I know that our listeners, everyone is sitting and wondering, what is it that inspire people to get into politics? Is there something in your background, growing up in the Philippines, coming to Canada, and the things that you did in Canada that we could look at and say, this is the moment that I wanted. I knew that I had to put myself forward to represent my community. Is there anything like that?
I'm actually going to put an important context first where I get the message of the opposite, right? Like growing up, because I personally am not part of any political dynasty or like a wealthy family or anything like that. And I came from a country where, particularly at the local level, politics is actually violent, where after every municipal election, it's almost a very depressing expectation when people would speculate how many local politicians are going to be murdered this time around.
Oh, wow.
Like that's kind of mentality. So
I can relate with that because I'm Nigerian. So
exactly, right?
You're very spot on.
So the mentality growing up is even to like stay away from politics as much as you can if you want to survive and if you want to have a good life. Don't approach it at all, right? So coming to Canada, I think I just did everything what is expected of immigrants, as a teenager at the time, I have school to go to and careers to pursue and boys to date and help my brother when he came over here a few years later. So I had just my very regular everyday people priorities. But as I mentioned earlier, I do a lot of extracurriculars and volunteer service. So I think the very foundation component as far as my character is that it's important for me to always make time to help the community in whichever way, shape, or form. And then, as I mentioned earlier, that workshop by Equal Voice, who were working on encouraging women to run for office. That's where they said, like, oh yeah, it's important for political leaders to come from all sorts of backgrounds. And here is the tactics and workshops we are doing to make sure that you are equipped, or as equipped as possible, to run a political campaign. So for me, as I attended that workshop, and there were more actually over many years, like the city had a campaign boot camp, a local organization had a campaign workshop of some kind, and that's where it started becoming more of a potential reality. It's like, okay, so you have to do these door knocking, and if enough people resonate with you, they could vote for you and you could win. So in terms of, personally for me, I don't care so much about the title, right? That's why I do a lot of different things to help the community. It was just a bit of curiosity, maybe also a bit of a self-challenge that, can someone like me who has nothing in terms of political and affluent relations have a meaningful impact in the political arena here in Edmonton, in Canada?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Are you a business leader who wants to make a difference in the world? You need more than fluency in strategy, marketing, or even sustainability. You must understand how business interacts with society. Hi, I'm the host of Business and Society with Senthil Nathan podcast. In the 30-minute fortnightly episodes, I promise to bring you the best ideas to develop you as a leader who can help shape business as a force for good. Join me as I discuss with some of the world's leading thinkers to understand the role of business and society. Subscribe to the Business and Society with Senthil Nathan podcast.
Okay, yeah, I respect that. So, based off of that, what generally has what has your experience been like politically from your background and deciding to put yourself out there? Especially this is where you can tell us how the experience was in the two campaigns that you've run.
Absolutely. So before talking about the two campaigns, there's another kind of backstory I also want to mention. So back in university, I had an internship with the Student Governance Department of the University of Alberta. So U of A Students Union, just like any university, they have student politicians that advocate for better policies and supports for the students. So that is actually my very first exposure to political anything in Canada, where these students that are still in the middle of their university degrees would have a quick elections campaign and have to deal with bylaws and decisions and stuff like that. And my job is to provide them with administrative support and tools and resources so that they can be good at governance. Because governance is such a boring thing, but very important thing, right? And at the time, I managed to dig up enough history to realize, like, oh yeah, the student politicians from 2005 advocated for this incredible policy, and that's why all the students now have the UPass, for instance. So I have managed to see those threads and patterns. I'm like, okay, this is why governance is important, because as much as the meetings are long and you have to read a lot of paperwork, when decisions are made properly, it really makes people's lives so much better. So moving forward to the election campaign, it's really a very unusual time when I started because it's 2021 with COVID. Yes, and I have to really assess all the different workshop toolkits and resources and templates I have received from all these organizations, from Equal Voice, the city's opening the potential program, Parity YEG Bootcamp, and I'm like, these are the conventional tips that they have been giving to us, but with the situation of COVID, how practical are they? And that's when I realized, like, okay, there's a bit of a disconnect here because I don't feel safe door knocking in people's homes. They also, all of these workshops keep saying that, oh yeah, you're a woman, you should not door knock alone, it's not safe. I'm like, okay, great. So on top of that, I don't have a lot of, again, like with the shortage of political connections, it is a bit difficult to present myself in a legitimate way to different groups, right? And so there's all of these gaps that I have identified. I'm like, okay, these are struggles. So what can I do? What is the best equalizer that is available at that period of time? Digital. Mm-hmm. So that is what I did a lot of in 2021. You know, I have a campaign email address. I have a campaign website. Everyone can do that. You don't need to hire a campaign manager to do that. With just a small tripod, you can create short form videos and that kind of thing. So in 2021, that is what significantly helped, is the digital stuff. The other thing that I have done even prior to, and I made sure that I have pursued these in an authentic way, and the political advantages is just extra, and that is the different organizations that I have chosen to volunteer for. So what I have learned here in Edmonton, there's a pattern. People who are more likely to succeed in city council elections, they should volunteer in their neighborhood community league at least once. That is a very important way to gain connections, gain exposure, and learn about the city. That's actually one of the first questions I got asked in 2021 so often, like, do you volunteer for your community league? And I say, yes, I do. And they're like, oh, okay, you are a serious person, you love Edmonton. It's almost like an unspoken qualification check mark.
Oh, wow.
Another one, and this advice was given to me in one of those campaign boot camps, is to volunteer for an city advisory board. And I followed that. I found one that resonated with me, so I volunteered for the Transit Advisory Board in 2018 for a few years. There you go. And I also volunteered with several not-for-profit boards because, again, going back to my university years, I know how important governance is, so it resonated with me, and it's a way for me to demonstrate I don't just rant about politics. I know how to read bylaws, I know how to make motions, I know how to vote for certain things or get outvoted. I know the realities of that because that's what happens to politicians, right?
Yeah.
So I have been very intentional with all of this groundwork I have done ahead of time because I'm aware that since I am not born and raised here, there is that period of my life that is unknown to people over here, that my qualifications will be scrutinized a lot more, as opposed to someone who would say like, oh yeah, I went to high school with this person and they seem like a good guy, I'll vote for them. I don't have that cred, right? So I did all of these beforehand and with different objectives, right? I find them rewarding intrinsically, and I know it will help with future political aspirations. So moving forward to 2021, when I would door knock or I would share content online, my bio is pretty good, right? Because I have checked all the boxes of what has been told to me that people will be looking for a viable candidate. At the time, it was a bit tricky because I'm running against an incumbent, and she's actually, in my opinion, she's a decent person. It's just that I know I would have loved a political representative who is more visible. So it's not like I have any reason to say like she's awful for this reason. Like I don't have that because she is not. And I think despite that, it looks like there are enough people who are dissatisfied with her or are just looking for someone different. So I was second place. I got
congratulations.
Thank you. I mean, in terms of ranking, it's pretty good. In terms of votes, I got half of what she has. So that's all good. And what I did after that is, because again, like all of these boards and commitments, I find them intrinsically rewarding, I just continued them. So I had to pause them during the campaign period because, conflict of interest, that's not good. I returned to all of these volunteer endeavors that I had and pursued other things. And moving forward to 2025, it's a bit of a different dynamic because it's an open race. Of course, COVID from people's minds is a long time ago. So the expectations are more of the conventional campaign where you're gonna door knock, you're gonna network so much more, and you have to meet people at events and stuff like that. And I knew that these are things that you need to do and they're all important, but time travel does not exist yet. So that is the dilemma of a candidate like myself who doesn't have as extensive of a network compared to the other candidates. I don't want to be very clear right off the bat that at least in my ward in Sipiwiyiniwak, 4 of us, I think, are actually like really decently qualified, just in different ways. But whenever I would door knock in certain neighborhoods, and people will say like, oh, this other candidate, he was born and raised here, and he's a successful businessman, and I love him. So unless you can be as awesome as this guy, I'm sorry, I won't vote for you.
People actually said that.
In like a positive way, right? Because they're like, we love my guy. Like they're like, I love my candidates, this guy that I'm supporting. So it's really interesting.
That's fair.
Yeah, which is totally fair.
Yeah.
In other instances, I've ran across a few of my supporters who told me that their friends are really conflicted between voting for me and voting for the other woman of color who is running. So here's the makeup of candidates in Ward Sipiwiyiniwak. There were 7 of us, 3 white men, 3 people of color, 2 of which are women of color. But she has a lot more resources. She practically was raised here. Have a more decorated career track, let's just put it that way. And from what I have observed with people, right, assuming that you have multiple choices that are kind of nice, it is understandable, human nature, that they would gravitate towards someone who is just a teeny bit more impressive. Because, with my career, right, I work in I work in the provincial government right now. I have a functional expertise specific role. I am not in management. In my volunteer positions, I am a board director or whatever, but I'm not the president. In the city board with the Transit One, sure, I was the board chair, but that is my only volunteer commitment where I am, quote unquote, the one on top. But for some of these other candidates, they have multiple titles and accomplishments where they are the main person, president, CEO, blah, blah, blah. So again, all things equal, decent people with decent platforms, it is understandable that people are going to pick the one who is just a little bit more impressive. And I will be frank, that is not me, right? Because I don't care about titles. But from a campaigning, tactical standpoint, unfortunately, it does. So, and that creates a cycle, right? When people, or whether it's the politically engaged folks or affluent folks, find you impressive, they're more likely to donate to that kind of candidate and volunteer. Wow. It's a cycle. So, what I have observed is the candidates that are more well-funded financially are the ones that are more able to pay for more marketing materials and pay for more exposure. So there's more, it's all about playing the odds. And there's, for people who might not be paying much attention to politics, they were like, oh yeah, I saw the Facebook boosted video of this candidate who made a paid ad in July. While I made the choice to only use paid ads in September because that's all I can afford. There's a very, very direct correlation between the funds and resources. The other reality as well is door knocking. Just with my personality, on a personal level, I love and accept myself as who I am, as an introvert, but that can be that can hold you back when you are door knocking. There's at least in the West End, the legend, the one that's considered the ultimate expert in door knocking is now our mayor, Andrew Knack. He is well known to be okay with door knocking 8 hours a day. He's addicted to it and he's really good at it. But for different personality types or for health reasons, I can only door knock 2 hours a day because it is exhausting, and also I would get injured again. I've learned the hard way in 2021. If I door knock for 6 or more hours, I'll get injured, then I won't be able to walk the next day. So that's difficult balance between protecting my health, protecting my values, and aggressively pushing yourself to reach as many people as possible, because that is what it takes in order to win. And I know my numbers, I would have loved to door knock and reach more people, and I would have loved to have more money to send a piece of mail to everyone in the ward. That's $10,000, by the way. I did that in 2021, and this time around, I didn't have the budget for it. Because, again, the landscape in my area is a bit different this time around. There are multiple really good people, and certain people made choices with who they supported, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that snowball effect. So, as a result, I was just actually checking the statistics right now, this morning, before I came over here. What's really interesting is I did not lose that many votes compared to last time. So 2021, I had 5,100. This time around, I had 4,800. This time around, I was third place, and the person who was in first and second place were the ones with more resources. And again, decent people, I've met them. So it's not like I'm running against awful people. That is not the case at all. I have much less donations this time around. Again, perhaps people decided to strategically choose certain candidates, strategic voting, strategic supporting. I'm sure that is a factor in some people's minds. The one thing I do not regret is the self-care component, right? Like, I went to sleep every night on time. I did not pull all-nighters. I took care of my home, because my husband and I tell each other that no matter what our accomplishments and careers are, like, those things come and go. Our household matters most.
I love that.
And also, I actually chatted with multiple Filipino-Canadian and Filipino-American politicians earlier this year to research. So they have given me some really candid advice and warnings. So I'm like, yeah, I will care for my home first and my goals and dreams second. And I guess that is part of the outcome. Yeah.
Wow. This is very eye-opening.
Mm-hmm.
You actually put down something that is thesis-worthy, because I believe, I don't even know where to start to unpack all of everything that you've said, because here right now you've laid down like what I'll call a blueprint of how to do a city council campaign. But I'm listening to you, I was imagining Casey Madu, who rose to the height of deputy premier, and listening to you, it starts to put in perspective the relevance of what he achieved, because he wasn't born here.
Correct.
We're not sitting here and saying that there's any kind of bias, but you've just put forward how people make their decisions. And we cannot fault anybody for how they make their decisions. We can only try to understand it. So, in your opinion, what is the central thing that voters look for in candidates? Is it a resume? Is it presence? Is it representation? What exactly do candidates look for? And before they say, that is my candidate.
In my personal opinion, I have to admit, it's only been a month since post-election, right? I think presence actually matters more than everything. I'm not saying that the other factors do not matter, right? Of course, you need to have a decent and a relatable campaign platform. You need to be perceived as a good person, someone who is good and qualified enough, even if you're not the CEO or whatever. But again, as I mentioned earlier, that matters to a certain extent. One thing I have noticed, both when it comes to the email correspondence I've gotten from constituents or potential constituents, or even the DMs and the comments on TikTok and Instagram, because I am also there, and the times that I was able to door knock, I always notice, and it actually it leaves a mark in my heart, whenever people say, "You are the first person who talked to me in this campaign," or "You are the first political candidate who ever visited me." So that really, really leaves an impression. So the difficulty with this reality is that it does take resources to reach everyone. My formula, quote unquote, again, just based on my capacity and physical ability, is I personally, by myself, can door knock 20 houses in a single hour, and that's an average sized neighborhood like this one here, like where you live. If it is a very, very affluent neighborhood with 4-car garages and driveways as long as a community park, imagine the mechanics, right? It takes longer to walk towards those houses, and that's where the numbers really it really matters, right? I remember I was lucky enough to experience one night. It's like a 5:30 to 7:30 door knocking shift, where a local advocacy organization realized that in my area I am their candidate of choice, and they're like, "We're gonna gather a few volunteers and we will help you finish door knocking in the neighborhood." Fantastic. Yeah, so with the 2 hours that I've had with them, we covered 212 houses, because all of these fellas are experienced door knockers. Frankly, they're white, so they also they know they are likely to have more productive conversations at the doors, because there's not as much language barrier or anything like that, or people are more straightforward. So there's that really direct correlation with the numbers. But again, if you're not someone who is already politically plugged in, getting enough people who are available, comfortable, and skilled to do door knocking is it's actually much more difficult than it seems, because the skills of basically a door-to-door salesman. It's not something that everyone has.
No, it's really tough.
It's really tough, right? So that's why, the presence and visibility matters, because even if you are the nicest person, even if you have the most intelligent and realistic platform, if people don't know who you are and they don't have the interest or the mindset to even do a Google research, and what they are counting on is the flyer in their mailbox or the lawn sign in a driveway or in front of someone else's home, you basically have zero chance of getting yourself known.
Wow, interesting. So, okay, if anybody wants to do this in the future, it's important to get face to face with people, have FaceTime with people, let them know who you are, let them hear you speak, let them ask you questions and you answer. It helps in boosting your image. Okay, moving on from all of that, would you say our electoral process at the municipal level is fair? Do you trust the election system?
That's a very deep question, actually. And as I mentioned earlier, I came from a country with a very different political dynamic. So maybe my perspective would be less relatable to born and raised Canadians. I have joked with a few of them. Some of them are, they've never lived anywhere else. Many of them lived in Canada. And there are times when you take a white person who's born and raised Canadian, who is politically active. This is the only people I would make this joke to. It's like, you're like, oh, isn't that nice? No one gets murdered after election day? And then they would cringe and they would laugh, right?
But it's our reality.
It is a reality. Like that political participation in Canada is not hampered by safety issues. And whenever I make this joke and point it out to these white, born and raised Canadian people, it gives them pause, and they say like, oh yeah, and that is probably one of the things we take for granted over here.
Absolutely.
It's very likely that in a lot of places, what holds people back from being politically active is the safety aspect. Maybe for some of them, that is what really motivates them to be more politically active, because it is truly a life and death situation. Whoever gets elected will literally impact their lives. Here in Canada, we, including us who have already migrants and have settled here, we are privileged enough to be in a situation that, for the most part, whoever gets elected will be relatively okay. So I know that's not like a really direct answer to your question. Like, I think politics in some ways is not even, because of the fact that it is not a really drastic life and death situation, it is very easy to take it for granted and put it to the side. Does that make it unfair because there's only a small number of people who pay attention to it? I don't know. So as far as my experience as a candidate, like running and whatnot, I think it's quote unquote fair that way. I have never felt unsafe from my fellow competitors. Even in the other areas where there's drama and conflict, people are just arguing about policy, maybe are being sassy on comments on Instagram or Facebook, but I know that this candidate who is really disagreeing with this other candidate, the second candidate will still be safe. No one's gonna get kidnapped, no one's gonna get murdered or anything like that. When it comes to corruption, I really don't know how to answer that, because
that's a part I think most people will be interested in. So if you can shed light on it, that'd be great.
I can only speak to my experience, right? Again, maybe because certain demographics already, maybe they think that I am not a serious candidate, quote unquote, that it's not worth it to bribe me. I don't know, right? Like, I really feel in many ways, to be honest with you, I feel very disconnected from what I would personally describe as the political in-group, So I have not received a message from, let's just say, the business organizations. They have not invited me to meet up with them. They have not invited me to talk about policy. Maybe because, again, they think that I'm not winnable. I don't know. Or perhaps what's another group that might be a bit contentious depending on who you're talking to? The police. So
labor unions.
The labor union. Okay, yes, that's right. So in 2021, none of them reached out to me. Maybe because, again, I was running against a relatively okay incumbent that they're like, there's the other races to prioritize. That is another thing that I actually learned the hard way both times, is that when it comes to advocacy organizations or whatever, different groups, they don't treat every candidate council race equally. So if there is one, maybe on the south side, where so many people are really unhappy about the councillor and they really have a few options that they wanted to really support this person to win and defeat the other candidate, they will focus their resources to that candidate or that area, as opposed to others where they're like, whoever wins there, it's going to be relatively okay. So that kind of inconsistency became more evident to me. Yes, like I mentioned, in 2021, I don't remember being approached by different organizations telling me, tell me who you are, tell me what you're about, and let me see if we can support you or endorse you or whatever. That happened more this time around. Yes, and again, it's really one of those things where I felt unsure how to navigate, because third-party advertisers became more of a thing this time around. Unions are definitely more active, and I felt in some ways unsure on how to approach these conversations, because at the very fundamental core is I just want to present who I am. So in every survey, in every meeting invitation, I filled them out. I met with people. I'm like, I care about the everyday people. Yes, of course, I care about good policies and good public services. So I think as a result, and I don't hate bike lanes. Like I've been candid with people about that. Like I do not hate bike lanes, and I am not 1000% angry about tax spending. You know, like I guess I'm more politically and emotionally moderate. And I think that might have factored how different groups decided to support me or not, or how I am labeled or not. Also, I can't drive. I take public transit, so I would not be surprised if certain groups or people think that I am not their person because I have a different lived experience here. So with all of these kind of dynamics taken into consideration, do I think that politics in Canada is fair? I genuinely don't know. I think it's relatively safe in a way that everyone can participate, and there's no, yes, I'm going to use a Philippine reference here, my apologies. There's no mayor's death squad who's going to discourage certain people from running or winning or anything like that, right? But as far as, do certain candidates, are they more likely to win because wealthier donors help them with some kind of unspoken condition once they get elected? I genuinely don't know.
Okay, thank you. Because that leads me to the next thing that I wanted to chat about. I'm on my phone scrolling through Facebook, and I see a news feed that says this organization has endorsed this candidate. How does that happen?
Yes, this is also one of those like awkward things I had to deal with this time around. There are what I would describe as like 3 potential ways that endorsements happen. This is kind of like me unpacking the blueprint, I guess, looking back.
Please.
Yes. So the first way is what I'm going to call broadly asking every candidate. That's how I'm going to describe it. Okay. I don't have a fancy catchphrase for it yet. So this is when advocacy groups and organizations would basically treat candidates equally. They would send a survey or ask for a meeting to all of them.
All of the candidates.
Okay. Yes.
Not leaving out anyone.
Correct.
Okay.
So that is one of these tactics. So, for example, this time around, infill is such a hot topic. So there is one of the infill-related advocacy organizations. They treated all candidates equally. They're like, here is a link, here is our background research information. Please fill this out, and we will present all of your stuff on our website equally. So there's those organizations, and personally, they're my favorite because they treated everyone. It seems fair. And I respect it. Right? It's wonderful. The second category, I would say, is the organizations that have made their choices based on keeping track of you over the course of many years. So I'm just going to use it for simplicity's sake. Again, I'm not like attacking them. I don't aggressively hate bike lanes. So, for example, like there is, Edmonton Bike Coalition, Climate Justice Edmonton, and some of the influencer accounts on Instagram who are a big fan of public transit. My fellow transit nerds. So these groups did not send a survey. They did not ask for a meeting to screen me or to vet me. But what I have observed is they just research on their own. They check people's profiles and platforms and whatnot, and then made a decision to endorse and make a list or whatever. There's a few of these political commentator accounts that actually did that. Yeah, I didn't have to meet them to like, oh yeah, this is why you should choose me. But I have known these people in the civic political space for many, many years. So I know what they're about. I know why they decided to endorse me as opposed to this other person. And then what I would describe as the third category is kind of the more this is going to sound so negative, but I don't have a better word for it. Like the more of the behind-the-scenes conversation maneuvering. I don't know how else to describe it, right?
It's exactly that.
Yeah, like those exist.
Yeah.
And here's the tricky thing about those types of organizations. I don't feel it was my place to ask them, did you equally contact all the other candidates? That is really none of my business. But when they reach out to me and say like, oh yeah, let's talk, and we'd like to know what you're about, and see if we can support you, or even just to get our voices heard. So I would have a meeting with them, and again, I would not know what they have done for the other candidates, and then they would choose to endorse me or the other person or other candidates. What I personally find confusing about this third category is sometimes the expectations are unclear. So in my case, I was chosen and endorsed by Working Families Edmonton, one of the third-party advertisers who with this organization that have been advocating for policies and services for the everyday people, right? Working families, that is their thing. And when they endorsed me, I'm like, oh, okay, that's fantastic. I saw your news release. Thank you. And then eventually I saw their paid digital advertising. I was like, oh, okay, that's fantastic. And I was really unclear as to the expectations, right? Like, can I boost it? If people attack me on your posts, am I allowed to defend myself? If people attack me for being endorsed by you, like, are you gonna jump in and help me? I don't know those kinds of expectations and dynamics. And I think they are also figuring it out, because all of these changes became applicable in this upcoming election just this year. It's not like people can reference, oh, this is what happened in 2021. Well, it was not a thing in 2021, right? So so those were kind of like the three approximate categorizations. And yes, there are times when I'm like, oh, what do you mean that someone made a news release and decided to endorse a bunch of candidates? I didn't even know they were doing that, right? There's a lot of those like surprises, or again, unless you are already very deeply connected to certain political groups or whatever, maybe you know what's happening. But when I was living my everyday life, I suppose, in between elections, sure, I am informed about city politics, but I'm also doing a lot of other things outside of city politics. So that's why I have a bit of a disconnect, and there are some things that surprised me.
Wow. Okay. Because the reason that I ask this is there's a lot of I don't know a better way to describe this, but I'll just go out and say it. There's a lot of erosion of personal responsibility. And I'm not saying this because I'm not guilty of it. I'm recognizing that, especially when you see things from authority figures, you tend to believe them. That's why I wanted to know how these endorsements work. Not because I'm going to sit here and change it or influence it in any way, but just so as people understand that when this organization comes out and says, oh, we endorse this person, you as an individual who is seeing that, you also need to do your own due diligence, because there's a possibility you don't know what's happened in the background. You don't know how that endorsement came about. You don't know if that candidate was tested alongside all of the other candidates. It could be, my dad is the president of this organization, he knows whatever, and then, oh yeah, we're endorsing this candidate. It's important that people understand this, so that, you know, when someone is in front of your door, ask them questions. Don't just assume that, oh, this is a good candidate because that organization has endorsed this candidate. That was why I asked that question.
Absolutely. Discernment is really, really important. And it is important to acknowledge that people sometimes do use that as their shortcut, right? I've had many conversations when campaigning where when people feel conflicted because amongst all the options, they have narrowed it down to just the two or just the three. That's when they use these opportunities to help break the tie, basically. Yeah. So again, in the case of like myself and who is now my current city councilor, many people have perceived that she is just the better candidate because she's more accomplished, which is true. You know, she's more accomplished, she's more decorated, however you want to describe it, and because of that, might have a better chance of making the positive changes that they want to do. And she's more charismatic, which is also true. I'm too socially awkward too often in public spaces, and I'm very aware of that, right? And for some people, where they're like, oh yeah, there's three options, but I am a progressive, and because this organization, this person endorsed this candidate, in some cases that was me, it's like, oh yeah, you are the most progressive leaning, apparently, candidate, I will support you. But for some people, they're like, oh yeah, she has pronouns on her Twitter account, screw her. Whatever, right? So yes, I mean, it is human nature to take shortcuts, especially when options can be quite overwhelming.
Right.
And again, going back to my earlier point, we're lucky enough to live in a country where no matter who gets elected, certain things will continue to get done. Maybe not always in the way that people want it, but yes, the buses will still come, the snow will still get cleared, and the rec centers and libraries will continue to open. Overall, it will be relatively okay.
Okay. I like that. As we round up, is there anything you feel, are you going to run again? And if yes, is there anything you feel you would do differently without giving away your strategy? Is there anything you would say, the next time I do this, I'm going to do this differently?
Well, it's only been a month since I saw the outcome of the election. So even with my household, we are doing a lot of calculating, reflecting, looking back, right? My husband and I do this every year. We call it, as husband and wife, we call it Budget Deliberation Day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, we do it every New Year's.
That's awesome.
Yes, so we we use that as an opportunity to assess all our expenses and our goals, like short term and medium term. Running for office is very expensive. I took time off from work for 3 months. That took a financial toll in our house. I saved $10,000 both times, actually. I'm like, I cannot predict how much or little other people will donate, but I know I can fully commit myself. I'll put in the full $10,000 both times. So that is a big commitment. So as far as, yeah. So the big question for me and my husband actually is that, can we afford to do that for a third time? When it is truly, truly a gamble where you really cannot guarantee the outcome, right?
That's true.
Going back to my earlier comment, I am not connected to any particular people who are, I'm not connected to political dynasties or wealthy people or anything like that. So it's not like I have a mom or dad who's gonna back up my campaign or whatever. So I have to strike that balance between what I want to do to help society at large and the practical things that I need to do to protect my future. Simple things like saving for retirement and helping family and that kind of thing, right? Because to be perfectly frank with you, if I'm going to have a campaign that is slightly more comparable to the person who ran, you know what are the things that she did? Again, these are not like bad things. These are tactical, strategic things, okay? She took time off for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
6 months. And I know because we volunteer together. She's connected on LinkedIn. I see her updates, right? So she was campaigning full-time for 6 months. And I've also heard that she's been doing and even before that, has done a very good job of publicly and strategically telling people that she's running. That is one of the things I did not do this time around because I wanted to respect the not-for-profits and the boards I'm volunteering. I don't want a perception of conflict of interest. So I was quiet about my intention to run for a second time. So I need to find a way to broadcast more often my intention to run without causing trouble in my present time. And then save enough money to fund up to the maximum of a candidate and be able to pay my bills to campaign for 6 months, 8 months. Like I've known of one candidate here on the north side who was campaigning full-time since February
of last year
of 2025.
Yeah.
So again,
the election happened last month.
Correct. So the reason why I'm not able to answer, yes, that's correct. That's right. So I don't know if I'll be able to run again because with my experience running both times, I know the very important tactical components that you need to do in order to run, which is visibility on top of everything. And
that costs
a lot.
Money.
It costs a lot. Yes.
And time.
And the challenge that we have right now in terms of publicly available information, the vote results per voting station, they are available already. So I am going to analyze that just like what I did in 2021 because I have some theories that I think actually have merit. For someone with my values, my personality, and my professional background, I have some ideas on what I need to do to strategically gain votes in certain places. And I need to be at peace with the harsh reality that in certain neighborhoods, I will never be their first choice. Never. So it's really, really interesting. And unfortunately, the campaign donations and expenditures report, like the final version, it's not due until next year. So once that becomes publicly available, I'm gonna be able to figure out a pattern that I have observed in my area, which is the campaign that spends the most money wins. In 2017, Sarah Hamilton, when she ran in an open race, spent almost $90,000. In 2021, she was running as an incumbent, and she spent still about $50,000, 50. And based on the early disclosures in 2025, the other two people who got more votes than me, I think the donations they have gotten is almost $30,000.
Wow.
So yes, part of it's about strategic number crunching, and that is actually what will help me figure out whether it's even feasible. So am I going to run again? I will run again if there's enough supporters that are willing to give me that campaign war chest, people who will consistently help the entire time, not just when they feel like it in the summer, not just when they feel like it 1 month after the election, for basically the entire year of the campaign. But I cannot pay them. So again,
Right.
it's a dilemma, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, so maybe only if I'm well equipped.
Okay, fair enough. One last question before we wrap this up. We are people of color. What is our place in terms of supporting people of color without being racist? Do you think that candidates from our demographic get the necessary support that they need to get over the line?
My frank answer to that is absolutely not. There's definitely a need for more resources, for sure. At a different time, maybe I'll send a document or anything like that to really give a good sense of the financials and the numbers, right? As per my example earlier, if I'm door knocking by myself, I get 20 houses an hour, 40 houses, maybe 45 in 2 hours by myself. While if I'm with a bunch of people, you'll get hundreds of houses. So when it comes to providing support, there's also the unfortunate reality of many migrants still being in survival mode, right?
Oof, tell me about that.
Yeah, right?
I was hearing the figures you're reading out and I'm like, ooh, I can't, no.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Exactly, right?
90K.
Yes. And for anyone
that
running...
is so true, survival mode.
Yeah. So I'm gonna use my younger brother as an example. Love you, Greg, if you listen to the podcast. But yes, in 2021, because of COVID and everything else, we were both nervous about going door to door. So what we decided to do is to deliver flyers. So little brother accompanies big sister delivering flyers and whatnot. So that's all good. So he's like, he liked it. It's a good fit for him. And then in 2025, he also offered to do it again, because he's taller than me. He walks faster. We can deliver 150 flyers in 2 hours.
And this is going door to door.
Door to door to door to door.
Wow.
Yes.
Impressive.
It is impressive. Then he got injured at work.
Oh no.
So my go-to buddy for flyer delivery was gone from August till the end of the election season.
Oh no.
So that is I know I feel like a broken record when I say this, because it truly is about the numbers, right? For someone, I'm gonna pick another example here. He's not a politician anymore, so I guess I'll be okay. Former Mayor Iveson.
Right.
He's very politically involved from way back in university. And I've heard that a lot of his politically inclined nerd friends from university is the foundation of his campaign teams when he ran for council. Again, let's trace it back to our fellow migrants. If you came here at 40 years old...
I don't have connections from high school. I just don't have that.
Exactly.
That's my lived experience.
Exactly.
Wow.
And for me, here's the other reality for me. How do I say this diplomatically? My religious journey is still in progress, so I am not part of any church.
Okay.
And so
immigrants for immigrants, and religion
it's a big component.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I have heard advices from my fellow people in my community. You should go to the churches and campaign. And I'm like,
which one?
Catholic, mostly Catholic and Christian. And for me, my struggle with that was, if I'm genuinely a person who cares about inclusion and equality, then I need to have a tactic to reach all the gurdwaras, the mosques, the synagogues, the churches. So
because they are part of your constituency.
That's right. At the same time, will they receive me because I am a non-actively religious person? How is that dynamic going to work? That was, to be frank, an obstacle I was not able to overcome.
They see me as an opportunist.
Yes.
Like, in essence, I'm just trying to say,
hello.
Hey, this is me.
Exactly. So how to do that properly, I was not able to figure out. My cultural community had a conundrum this year because there were so many more of us who ran for council, so many more Filipinos. There was a situation in one of the wards where 2 Filipinos were running for the same position. So there's a bit of a difficulty over there. And there's a lot of...
Any of them win?
No, one of them got second place though. So it's pretty close. And there is the other difficulty that I have seen, and I'm only speaking to my cultural community, but I would not be surprised if it's a thing across many others, where are you an actual member of our community?
Wow.
If you have been born and raised here, or if you don't speak our native language or whatever, are you truly one of us and should we help you or whatever? There's that dynamic that happened this year, and I find it very, very frustrating.
It can be.
Mm-hmm. I don't have that
Like,
issue because
it's almost like you don't belong anywhere.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't born and raised here, and then the people who I think I belong to are telling me,
yeah,
they're kind of tainted.
Yes.
Wow.
So I have that. I don't have that problem as much as the other Filipino person who had that dilemma. I can speak the language, luckily enough. But I genuinely worry about second, third generation immigrant Canadians who are a little bit more disconnected from the culture of their country of origin, but are still not perceived as Canadian enough. How are they going to be successful in the political space?
This is interesting. I like that you're putting this on the table, because even me that is raising my kid and I don't speak my language enough to her. You know, we are making sure, we want to raise children that are Canadians.
Yeah.
But then you also want to raise children that are culturally aware of who they are, where they came from. Because, is it safe to say you are never truly Canadian?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that is another difficulty, right? And I try to keep my values and not yell at these elders, but they have said so many times like, that other candidate, she's not Filipino enough. So yeah, of course we're gonna support the other guy. I'm like, oh geez. Yeah, so that is another potential struggle for people who might be thinking of running, is the ordeal of basically auditioning towards different communities and groups to make them look viable enough.
Auditioning to various communities. That's my takeaway from this.
Yes.
To run a campaign is an auditioning for different communities. So you need to be generally acceptable. And us as immigrants, do we have the social credit that is required to be said, okay, that is the person that I'm going to vote for?
Yeah, that's very, very, and that's a very difficult hurdle to overcome. And again, I appreciate you wanting that phrasing, not a loss but a lesson, but that's a harsh lesson that I have definitely gained, and I am still in the progress of figuring out what is, like, how many auditions is enough? How many hoops do I have to jump through more than the others? Yeah, it's a learning progress. And yeah, and for anyone who is interested in deep diving and learning more, I kept all my notes. I am happy to literally give like the blueprint or things that I have, blueprints, templates, files of my adorable simple TikTok videos and whatnot, to give you like the maps that I have used canvassing. I have all of that, and I'm happy to share.
Oh wow, okay. That means it sounds like we are gonna do this again.
Sounds good.
Because there's a lot to unpack here. So that when we see people, immigrants, people of color, walking the streets, door knocking, even if you don't support them, I want your story to be a place where we have appreciation, understanding that this person is jumping through, like, wow, these are the things this individual has to go through to put herself or himself in the mix and say, vote for me. It's not as easy as we think that it is. And then eventually we see a person of color in a political position. I want everyone to appreciate, it's not just, oh, he won. There's battles that were fought.
Absolutely.
So thank you for coming and sharing this a very valuable story. I am very more informed. I am much more educated in the process. I like what I heard, and it's a great lesson. I hope that everyone who listened to this will draw one conclusion and one lesson either way. She's not here to say that is bad or that is good. She just told her story. Giselle General of Ward Sipiwiyiniwak. Sipiwiyiniwak.
Yes.
Sipiwiyiniwak. Okay, I must get that right. Sipiwiyiniwak.
Yes.
I like this. Okay.
It means River Cree.
Oh.
Because Ward Sipiwiyiniwak is at the western edge of the city, right next door to our neighbors at the Enoch Cree Nation.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll do this again with other candidates. Stay tuned to the Agege Bread podcast. After listening to this, if you found this useful, share it with a friend, put it on your status, put it on your Facebook. You never know. There will be somebody out there who this can be valuable to. My aim of doing this is to educate the public. If you help me do that, I appreciate it. So thank you for listening. Until we see again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.